Well, hello and welcome to all of our viewers around the world. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and one of the MCs here at Gold Midwifery. That's right, you guessed it. We're on track for our Gold Midwifery 2024 online conference this year, and we are excited with such amazing speakers this year. I have to say that the passion runs deep when it comes to this event, and it is an event for all those who are in the birth field or connected to the field. Really, what an opportunity for all you perinatal healthcare workers out there, as well as all of our favorite midwives who will be there as well. This conference is live and recorded, so you have lots of opportunity to come to the live event and listen to the recording if you happen to be busy. But of course, we know that when you come to those live events, it's just such a great opportunity. It makes your village a little bit smaller, gives you opportunity to ask questions, engage with the other listeners, and of course, get into those really juicy topics. Now, we do have a good one here for you today, as in a juicy topic. We'll get into that in just a moment. But we have one of our speakers here today, as you can see, Silke Powell. Thank you so much for joining me here today. You are, of course, one of our amazing midwife speakers this year, talking about sort your meconium out already. Oh, maybe I just added that last little part on the end, but yes, sort your meconium out. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you.
It's really lovely to have you back. I know you have spoken actually for Gold before, and so having you back
Yes.
here, it's just a little bit of a full circle moment. We get a chance to catch up, find out what you're doing. But you are talking about one of your topics that, in fact, you did research in and, have spent time in, and you continue to update on what's been happening in this area. So let's dive right in just to the topic just for a moment and talk about what's been happening with Meconium. And some of the important things, you've noticed the changes perhaps since we last saw you. So tell me a little bit about what's been going on in the research field.
Okay. Well, firstly, I'm not quite sure what it says about me that I'm passionate about meconium, but anyway, there it is. But I am, and I think my original research was back in 2006, and you're correct. I'm so interested in it that I do keep up to date with what comes out. In what has been coming out in the meantime, nearly 20 years now.
Mm.
And what's been really interesting is the things that I was saying in 2006. Research is kind of just getting closer and closer and closer. I possibly have a view that is a little bit further away than most people are comfortable with, but it's really good to see that trajectory of evidence moving towards this idea that we've painted meconium as being a really awful evil, and it's it either tells us bad things or it is a bad thing itself. And actually the evidence is starting to move us towards saying maybe we misunderstood that. Maybe there are some things that we need to understand about it, but painting it all with tarring it with the same brush is just not never been the truth. We've been digging around, we've been making assumptions that haven't been the truth. And when you start looking into that and you start really looking at evidence, then you become a real research nerd. And I'm afraid that's exactly what's happened to me. And just looking at that kind of like, how the heck could they come out with that? What did they actually do? And how many participants were in that trial? And so I find that it's really endeared me to research. Actually just becoming interested in this topic.
Wow, yes, I hear what you're saying, and I can hear that narrative that really people are still talking about it in such a negative light. It's fear-mongering amongst our patients, and I think that, if I feel like we still have a long way to go, and I'm sure you know this. I know, we're in that area. But let's talk a little bit about you, because I want to get a little catch up on what you're doing and, what life looks like for you today. Where are you in the world? Because I hear the British accent, but I know that you're not there. So tell the folks that are listening what you're up to these days.
Well, I left England for quite a long time ago. Obviously, north of England, you're probably hearing my voice. And I was living in New Zealand for many years, 17 years in New Zealand in the lovely Marlborough region. And only in the last few months, I have made another little shift. We call it across the ditch between New Zealand and Australia. So I've jumped across the ditch, and I'm now in Western Australia, the very north part of Western Australia, in a town called Headland. And it's an absolutely awesome region in terms of wildlife, nature. Just very, very, very different from the north of England, and very endearing in that respect. So
It's
I've been
amazing.
a midwife all the while.
All
I've
the
always
way.
practiced midwifery all the way, really. I got into education, how many years ago? I don't know, 13, 14 years ago. So I've taught at undergraduate level and postgraduate, updating midwives. So I've sort of been connected to the midwifery world. I've always worked clinically in all of that time too. So yeah, can't quite shake it off. It's I'm sure the midwives out there will agree. It's just your identity, and you just have to have
Yeah.
to roll with it.
So you're still wearing several hats, as we say, when it comes to
Yes.
work, educating, practicing, researching, which is absolutely wonderful. That's why we love midwifery so much, because I feel there's always this dynamic. You're absolutely right. So many of our midwives stay, within the field, as well as doing academic value as well, which is, yeah, just absolutely fantastic. All right, let's talk a little bit about what you were talking about before, the change in narrative that you have been working on for quite some time, in terms of,
Yes.
how did they bring in, different research? Was there really enough, clinical trial done on this? You know the way it goes. You read those research papers and you're just like, they made a protocol out of this. How is that possible? So tell me, in your experience, what has been going well in terms of the research that you have seen to date, or has there been, improvements in terms of meconium?
Yeah, yes, definitely. The biggest area where changes, where research evidence has kind of met practice finally, has been in resuscitation, and
Mm,
pretty much all of the global guidelines for neonatal resuscitation are really suggesting that we've been wasting very precious time trying to suck meconium out of babies, when really we needed to get on with ventilating them, babies that were born
mm,
compromised. And even, obviously, we've also been sucking meconium out of babies who aren't born compromised at all. And that's moved along as well. I think that's much more recognized as being unnecessary, not completely recognized, but generally recognized that, that if a baby is vigorous, we absolutely don't need to suck that baby out. But if the baby isn't vigorous, the research is now saying that we don't need to suck that baby out either. That's not the problem. The meconium
mhm.
isn't the problem. So that's reaching the guidelines around the world, different paces, but it's certainly getting there.
Mm. Well, I love to hear that, because I know it's taken a long time to get that recognition into
Yeah,
play. Like many things that have happened in the midwifery field over the years, when you're saying something over and over again, and then all of a sudden, well, that's standard of practice. People forget, how long it
yeah,
took to actually get those really good protocols in place.
yeah.
Is there anything that you're wanting to see, Silke? Do you have that wish list of, I wish there was more research, I wish that I could see a better protocol? Is there anything that you're, focused on, or you hope for at this time? Are you just really wanting to see more people engaged in this particular area?
I mean, I guess I guess what I want to see is that we actually understand what meconium's about, because I don't think that we do. So it's
Mm,
not necessarily that I want to say we don't need to worry about it at all, even though
right.
probably that's my feeling from the research. But I don't. That's not what I feel I need to say. I want people to understand that we don't know, and we make this assumption of this worst possible, case scenario. Our research is so muddled about, which bit we worry about. Do we worry about that it means a baby's hypoxic? Well, there isn't any evidence for that. Which bit should we actually worry about?
Mm,
And because meconium has been sort of blanketly bad,
hmm.
we can't. The research it's very difficult for researchers to actually, unpick that and say, okay, maybe there are times when it is bad, but maybe there are times when it isn't, and we don't really know that.
Mm,
So if we really if we had some better understanding of it, it would lead us you know, I guess, practice more effectively. And
mm,
we've done really, really awful things to women and babies, on
right.
the assumption that meconium is harmful. Really awful things. I think that if it's necessary to do an awful thing, then okay, the ends justify the means. But if it's not necessary, what the
Mm,
heck are we doing? What are we
yes.
doing?
Why do we have a
Mm,
standard of intervention, so to speak, when it's not
yeah.
necessary, right? Yeah. Well,
Mm,
you heard it here first, folks. Meconium's not all bad, but we need to keep researching all the things. And we have Silke Powell, who's going to be with us as part of our Gold Midwifery Conference. You can actually check out all the details right now at goldmidwifery.com. We also have an open access and free keynote presenter as well on February 5th. For most of you, check out all the details online and the time zone that you're in. That's going to make a little bit of difference, of course, for some of you. So we want to make sure that you can connect with us. If you can join us for those live sessions, we want you to contribute and let us know your experiences. That's so valuable to so many of us who are listening around the world. Silke, I know you can't wait to hear all the questions that are coming in and what people have to say about their experiences. I know that's something that you love to do, is just you're a natural educator at heart. And I just love that about you so much. So thank you
yeah.
so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, really appreciate you.
Yeah.
And I will look forward to seeing you online again. For all of our participants listening in today, goldmidwifery.com with all the details. Bye bye for now, everyone.